Hello everyone, my name is Sajidul Alam Sweet and I'm delighted to share my presentation on my school. This 30-minute lesson is designed for children aged 6 to 7 who are learning spoken English. The main goal is to help them express themselves confidently by using familiar topics, correct pronunciation, and everyday English. As a teacher, I always try to make lessons meaningful and interactive. When students see learning as fun, they remember better and speak more naturally. Now that you know what this lesson is about, let's move on to what I want my learners to achieve. Moving to the next slide, which is learning objects. What my students will learn. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to identify and name familiar school items and people, use prepositions of place like in, on, under, next to, and behind, pronounce common English words correctly, describe their English using short, clear sentences. These goals might look simple, but they help build confidence in real-world communication. Each one leads this learner from knowing words to using them to speak fluently. Now that we know the goal, let's understand why I choose this topic in the first place. Why is this topic works? So I selected my school because it's personal and relatable. Every child knows what their school looks like. The teacher, the classroom, the environment, the playground. That makes it perfect topic to connect learning with real life. So when learners describe something, they speak with more interest and confidence. They are not just trying to memorize, they are communicating. This is what we call in linguistics CLT method, communicative language teaching method. This lesson also strengthened pronunciation. From a young age, good pronunciation creates a strong foundation for fluent speech. I tell my students always that your voice is your confidence and use it proudly. Now that we understand why this topic matters, let's look at what I will need to teach it effectively. Moving to the next slide, which is materials record, tools for a simple and smart classroom. For this class, I would use simple creative materials that engage students visually and physically. Here is what I would prepare. Flashcards or pictures of school items such as a teacher, desk, bag, board, and book. Real or toy classroom objects like a pencil, bag, and box. A whiteboard or chart paper for sentence writing, and a marker and eraser for demonstration. I believe learning happens best when children can see and touch what they learn. Even in an online environment, these visuals can make a big difference. Even though since this is a demo class, so I'm not going to demonstrate these things because I'm presenting these on PowerPoint presentation. So now that I have everything I need to teach, so let's see how I plan to structure the entire 30 minutes lesson. Moving to the next slide, which is lesson structure, the roadmap to learning. This lesson is divided into 5 connected stages. Introduction, vocabulary and pronunciation, prepositions of place, guided practice, assessment, and wrap-up. This structure keeps the classroom balanced, starting with curiosity, moving into discovery, and ending with confidence. Now that we know the plan, let's start with the most exciting part, helping students learn new words and say them correctly. So our next slide is about vocabulary and pronunciation, words that build language. So I begin this stage by showing visual and introducing familiar words. For example, this is a classroom, this is a teacher, this is a bag, and this is a board. Each word is repeated slowly and I model pronunciation clearly. I might even ask, what color is this bag? To make it fun and interactive, Then I shift into pronunciation practice. I explain that pronunciation is not about sounding foreign, it's about sounding clear. So let's look at some examples of words often mispronounced. Number one is suggestion, suggestion, suggestion. But most student or majority of the students say suggestion, which is not correct. The correct way to say it is suggestion. Then we have the word iron. It's iron. It's iron. But most of the people say iron, which is wrong. So the correct way would be saying iron. The next one is desert. Desert. Desert, which means a dry place, right? And the fourth one is dessert. 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 Something is sweet. So here most of the students make a confusion that the first one, which I said desert, they usually say dessert, which means dry place. And the second one is they say desert, but which is absolutely wrong. It's kind of flip version. The first one would be desert and the second one is dessert. So next one is almond. 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 Here the law sound is silent. So most people says almond, but it's actually almond. The law here, the sound law here is silent. The same goes for salmon. 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 Also the law here is silent, right? Okay. So sometimes I even make students laugh by saying the wrong version first, then correcting it because it's fun, memorable, and build confidence, right? So once student can pronounce words correctly, I introduce grammar, especially preposition of place. So let's move on to the next slide, which is teaching preposition, right? Learning by seeing. So I explained that preposition tells us where things are. Then I use real objects to demonstrate the meaning. I would say, this bag is on the table. The pencil is in the box. The book is under the chair. The teacher is next to the board. The chair is behind the desk. As I speak, I move the object physically to make the meaning clear. Children remember what they see and touch. If I'm teaching online, I use gesture. For example, pointing down, under, or sideways for next to. So I might even ask students to hold an object and show me, put your pencil on the book. After students understand prepositions, it's time for them to try speaking on their own. That's where practice comes in. Moving to the next slide, which is guided practice from listening to speaking. This is the heart of the class, where students start speaking. I'd show a classroom picture and describe it aloud. Here it is. The teacher is next to the board. The bag is under the chair. The books are on the desk. Then I model both parts of a short exchange. For example, teacher says, where is the book? Where is the bag? Students, the bag is under the chair. Even though I am demonstrating alone, I use different tones to represent both voices, teacher and student. That shows how I guide students step by step. I might also play a mini game called Find It Fast. I describe something, for example, the pencil is in the box, and pretends students are racing to find it. This brings energy into the lesson while keeping the focus on language. So once the students have practiced speaking, I check their understanding and celebrate what they have already learned. So moving to the next slide, which is assessment and wrap up, check, praise, and reflect. So to assess the lesson, I use simple oral questions. Where is the bag? For example, the expected answer might be the book is on the desk. Another question would be, where is the bag? Or where is the bag? Expected answer would be the bag is under the chair. So if a student answers incorrectly, I don't correct them harshly. I simply model the right answer gently and have them repeat. At the end, I summarize the key points. For example, Today we learned about our school, practiced new vocabulary, improved pronunciation, and used prepositions to describe where things are. Then I praise them like a confident, for example, well done, everyone. Leaves a lasting positive memory, of course. So, moving to the last slide, or finally, I reflect on teaching process itself. What I aim to achieve and how it supports language learning. So, overall, my teaching philosophy is this lesson demonstrates how a family topic like my school can develop multiple English skills together, like vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and speaking. My teaching approach is communicative and creative, as I already mentioned that I use CLT method, which means communicative language teaching. I believe young learners learn best when they are actively involved, when they can see, move, and speak. In a real classroom, I would end the lesson with a creative task, like draw your school and describe it in English. This combines art, imagination, and language in joyful activities. I believe teaching English should feel like a journey, not a test. When students speak with a pride and curiosity, they are not just learning English, they are learning to express themselves. So thank you for watching my presentation. This was my 30-minute lessons on my school. I hope you enjoyed it and got a clear sense of how I design and deliver engaging lessons. Thank you.